Hi and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that we link with a January transfer move to Arsenal. And we've only got 1 week left until the January transfer window shuts. It will shut next week Friday at 11 o'clock and that will be it. No more business until the summer. And what will Arsenal do within that time? We know the areas where we're short. It's at the defensive areas and midfield areas. Arteta said it right from the start of the window that those are the areas that he thinks he needs to address. But he said it, he only wants to get players of real quality into those positions. And he's kind of even left it open that if he doesn't find what he wants, he'll continue on with the squad that he has. Which he's starting to get a bit more options with Bellerin the other day. Producing a good performance in his sort of first comeback game, full comeback game, with high intensity. Maybe now he knows he doesn't have to look for a right back. Saka has been doing so well when he's coming at left back. You think to yourself, you don't really need to gamble with getting a left back now because you've got still Kolasinac to come back. You've got Tierney who's going to come back, and this kid Saka is covering brilliantly in that position in the interim. So there's no rush really, I think, to try and fill that position. That's what I'd say. However, the centre-back position is still a problem. There's Rob Holding. He was on the bench the other night. But how fit is he? How ready is he? And then basically it's David Luiz who's now going to be suspended for a few games after getting sent off against Chelsea, which, by the way, I thought that was very harsh, him getting sent off in that game. It looked to me like Mustafi had got back. That could have been a yellow, but he's going to be out for a few games. Socrates should be back for the Bournemouth game, but he's had injuries. And then there's Mustafi. Is he going? Is he staying? We're going to find out by the end of next week. Did all right in the second half against Chelsea, but his mistake led to Chelsea's first goal, and we clearly know that we need to get in a top centre-back. Now, will that be the Ukrainian player that we've been linked with? His name is Mykola Matvienko, plays for Shakhtar Donetsk, and he's 23. His agent has said, and these were his words, the Gunners hierarchy have contacted Shakhtar and we hope negotiations will succeed. And the interesting thing about Matvienko is that he was sort of spotted by Mikel Arteta when Arteta was at Manchester City. You remember Manchester City played Shakhtar Donetsk twice in the Champions League, and Matvienko really impressed Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta was suggesting to Pep Guardiola, you know what, let's try and bring this guy in at Manchester City. Remember, they've had problems at City, or were having problems when Arteta was there, with the fact that Aymeric Laporte was missing and they sort of needed a centre-back. They didn't move for him. And now it looks like Arteta is saying, right, let me see if I can get him over to Arsenal. That must be one of the annoying things for City now, because Arteta will remember a lot of some of the targets that they were looking at the time, and might be saying to Arsenal, no, well, let's move for this guy. At City, we were interested in getting him in. Arsenal would like to, if this is possible, get it done with a loan move this month till the end of the season, with an option to buy him when that loan move finishes. Shakhtar, though, would rather than money. They'd like to get £30 million for Matvienko. It would depend on Arsenal if they shifted out, say, Mustafi and got some good money in for him, whether they'd be able to pay that. But we all know that Arsenal would prefer loan deals this month. As you know, the market's very slow at the moment. You know what I mean? There's not a massive amount of business that has gone on. I think there's going to be a lot of business towards the end of the window, but I do think there's going to be a lot of loan deals. So let's keep an eye on that Matvienko one, but it's still heavily linked with a move to Arsenal today. I spoke about Dani Ceballos yesterday. We had DT on the show, and we was talking about this whole Dani Ceballos situation. Dani Ceballos, of course, a bit unhappy that he's not getting a lot of game time. He's, of course, had injuries at Arsenal. Started off well. It's been a surprise to me that Mikel Arteta hasn't really used Ceballos, because Ceballos just seems the type of player that Arteta would like, but he's preferred Ozil. He's gone with that, and Ceballos is looking to leave Arsenal. He's unhappy. He wants game time. There's a lot of players at the moment, they're desperate to be playing week in, week out because the Euros are on at the end of the season. They want to impress their international managers so that they are in those Euro squads come the end of the season. And Ceballos, obviously, trying to get into the Spain team is difficult enough, even when you are playing. If you're not playing, you've got no chance. And there's suggestions today that Valencia are willing to, take him on loan for the rest of the season from Real Madrid. Arsenal would then be able to get him off of the wage bill, and it would be happy all the way around. It's a bit of a shame for me because I like Ceballos. I think if we don't see him play on Monday in the game against Bournemouth, if he doesn't figure in that game, I think he'd be safe to say that he could be moving on before the end of January. But let's keep an eye on that one. And if he does move on and we free the money off of the wage bill, will Arsenal move to AC Milan and try and get the Turkish international Hakan Çalhanoğlu? I hope I pronounced that right. Probably not, as I always say. He's 25. We've spoken about him earlier on in the window. I remember I described him. I never described him. He's been described as the new Ozil, and he was described as that over in Turkey. I think it's mainly because he's Turkish. He's also a very, very skillful player, very, very creative player. When he moved from the Bundesliga to Milan, that's what they were describing him as. It hasn't worked out for him, though. It's not been a good time for him over in Milan at all. This season, 2 goals and 1 assist in 18 appearances. And Milan are keen to move him on, again, to take him off of their wage bill. They'd like to sell him, first and foremost. The fee they're said to be looking for him is round about £17 million. But again, Arsenal would prefer to take him on loan till the end of the season. Again, would be willing to look at an option to buy at the end of it. He's also wanted by Tottenham Hotspurs. They want him as well. They look like they're definitely going to be losing Christian Eriksen, and they're looking on him as a perfect replacement for Eriksen. Again, a very, very talented player who's gone somewhere and it hasn't worked out at all. And sometimes, if you take a gamble on a player like this, it can work out. They can rediscover the form that got them that big move in the first place and go to another club that might be more suited to their style, and it might work out. And Arteta has said he's looking for midfield players. And I do look at that midfield and I do sort of still think it lacks a bit of creativity. I know you've got Ozil in there, but we know he can be inconsistent. And then after that, after Ozil, who is really that creative player? We got Xhaka and Torreira in there that look great at the moment in the holding positions. Guendouzi, sort of a box-to-box player, but who, apart from Ozil, is that creative player in midfield who can make things happen, create things out of nothing, So could we get this guy? Again, though, he may be looking on it as well. He's a Turkish international, very experienced player. Turkey are in the Euros as well. He's going to want to be playing week in, week out as well. So all of these things now are coming into play for these players when they're deciding where to go. Thomas Lemar, again linked with Arsenal today, heavily linked with Arsenal. Marca, the publication over there in Spain, suggesting that Thomas Lemar could be moving to Arsenal with Arsenal again. This is a theme at Arsenal, this January transfer window, preferring a loan deal with an option to buy at the end of it. Now, we know that Thomas Lemar, talented player, again, another player that will fall into that category as a potential international player. He's a French international, but he's not playing Atletico. He's not playing consistently. He's not doing well. He wants to get into that French squad for the Euros. He wants to be playing. He wants to be playing somewhere. If he's playing somewhere like Arsenal, high profile, that'd be great for him. He joined Atletico for £60 million, but it just has not worked out for him there at all. Atletico are willing for him to leave, and maybe willing to make him go on a loan. They prefer the cash, but they know they might not get that in January. So they may be willing to make him go on a loan until the end of the season, which would suit Arsenal down to the ground. And that would free up the wages for Atletico Madrid for them in their big move to try and get in Edison Cavani, who's also going to be on massive wages from now till the end of the season for them. So it's a bit of a merry-go-round. And again, Thomas Lemar, if we could get him on loan and maybe the Ceballos going, back to Spain, freeing up that money, using that loan money to pay for Thomas Lemar, that might be a good signing for Arsenal. We don't really need, I don't think, it's not essential for Arsenal, but it would be an exciting player to bring into the squad. So it's going to be an exciting few days, hopefully, for Arsenal. You know what I mean? We're literally like 7 days left to go until the window closes. What are they going to do in that time? We are about to find out. Thanks for watching the show today, and we'll be back tomorrow.